This is Barcelona, right now the centre of the sailing world, where two old foes are locked in battle for the Louis Vuitton Cup.
Both teams know if they're going to win this final, they've got to take it on.
Turning up, they will. Big cavitation here, Bobby.
Big loss of the rudder there for the Italians.
They're off the foil.
Ineos Britannia, they have the advantage.
Ineos Britannia are giving Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli no room to move.
Great opportunity for us, guys.
So well matched, aren't they, in terms of performance? I mean, you could not pick one.
Probably best damage controllers following him, I think.
The Italians try to throw everything at them, but the British are not budging.
Both teams are progressing really well on the water and getting faster and faster each day.
Ineos Britannia go ahead 3-2.
I don't know.
And the charge to the Louis Vuitton Cup.
Just one little mistake and was very costly.
This next race is a really, really big race for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
I think the recipe is always the same, just start well.
Cracking start by both boats.
Keep the boat fast and sell your good tactics.
Right now, this is playing out very nicely for the Italians.
And the win will come.
We're all locked up again. It's 3-all.
Good bounce back, boys. That's all we want. Yeah, it's a gift that just keeps on giving, isn't it?
We are going to go all the way if this continues.
It's what we all want to see to a certain extent, but at some point something will have to give, won't it?
Bienvenidos and welcome to Barcelona on day 5 of the Louis Vuitton Cup between Italy and Great Britain. We're about to hit the halfway mark of this series and it couldn't get any closer. Both teams are evenly matched and deadlocked in a race to fulfill their destiny. Neither team is showing supremacy or vulnerability. One mistake is all it's going to take to turn celebration into commiserations. But one thing is clear, we've got one heck of a series. The trophy both syndicates are fighting for is the Louis Vuitton Cup. As the saying goes, to win the America's Cup, first you have to win the Louis Vuitton Cup. To do that, 13 races are laid out in front of the challengers. All one team has to do is win 7 of them, and they're heading to the promised land of the match in the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. Right now, each is on 3 wins. Races 7 and 8 are on the cards today. Is today the day the deadlock can be broken? Finding the key to sail your team to 2 wins in a single day is a mystery still to be solved. So Shirley Robertson, who solves the mystery first? Where do you think Ineos Britannia sit?
Well, today one of these teams probably will crack. I mean, it feels so pivotal, and can you imagine the stress knowing that one tiny mistake and it could all slip away? Ineos Britannia need a clean, accurate execution today. They need to deliver.
So Ineos Britannia always get a huge send-off, but so too did their opposition. Yes, the opposition. And that is Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Glenn Ashby, wow, how do they do it?
Well, to me, I think today it's all about getting off the start line. What we've seen from both these teams, if you can get an advantage off the start line, you can then put your elbows out and control the race. I think for me today, it's all about controlling the starts.
So, what are the conditions like out on the course? The only person to go to is our very own Shirley Robertson.
Once again, we have beautiful late summer sunshine here in Barcelona, along with the very welcome, infamous Garby southwesterly wind. We're expecting a rather fruity 16 to 21 knots, and maybe more as the afternoon rolls on, accompanied by a foiling-friendly, flatter sea state, a combination of conditions that should lead to some more blisteringly fast-paced action. The breeze here is often unstable, but for us watching, we now have a pretty good handle on what's going on with the brilliance that is Windsight IQ, a laser radar system tracking the microscopic movements in the air. We have an accurate picture of the real-time wind across the track, and it's fair to say we are big fans. We then push that data through AC75 performance simulation, and we can then predict the likely winning track. And right now, the Ghost Boat strategy is to start at the right-hand end and get the maximum run into the boundary before heading to the top right-hand corner. But we'll see how that all works out.
Here comes race 7 and Britannia enter on port.
To quote British skipper Ben Ainsley, something has to give. This British outfit knows there is zero room for error. To win this duel, they need to race with unprecedented precision. Opposite Ainsley, helming at his first cup, sits the impressively composed Dylan Fletcher. Lee McMillan and Bleda Mon are keeping the boat tuned to perfection on trim, and their ever-increasing requirements for oil is constantly being met by the power team. This time it's Rossiter, Carr, Cornish, all led by Olympic rowing gold medalist Matt Cottrell.
The Italian team of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli are on even points again with opponents Ineos Britannia after another race day in top-end conditions. They've been pushed to the limit in the pre-starts and in the races. Can they break the deadlock today? With well-known faces on the wheels again, Rooney and Spithill, sitting in front of them on foil control is Molinari and Tessé. The power to the control of sails being provided again by Voltolini, Gabbia, Rossetti and Liuzzi.
It is another monster day in the Louis Vuitton Cup. Is either of these teams going to break the deadlock? We know conditions are fruity. Let's see if race management say we can go racing.
This is the race committee. We have passed the wind test and this race is live.
It is on. Race number 7 in the Louis Vuitton Cup final here in Barcelona. 2 minutes and 50 and counting. Great Britain will come in at 2:10 on port, and it will be Italy on starboard. Looking forward to this one.
Yes, so much. If you sail a 75-foot state-of-the-art foiling machine, it does not get better than this, and the fans know it.
Yeah, it's fresh today, but it's not too frightening, and we're going to see some absolutely epic racing here. Going to be a fantastic battle. Whoever gets off this start well will be in for a fantastic day.
How high is their heart rate?
Ineos Britannia, we saw the little indicator potentially coming in slightly late, but we're only talking slightly late. They are green, they are good to start the battle with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They can come in at 2. They're going to be coming in quite late on this one, but they did that yesterday on both occasions. So the start, super critical.
Big pressure in this pre-start, so the Italian team driving in behind the British team, and don't be surprised if we see the British team loop around like they have done previously.
Ineos Britannia seems to prefer to be chaser.
No, we don't tack,
Trying to get behind Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Hey, just on committee lane.
So a different approach by the British here, attack and then attack back, so they will speed build and bear away, and they will be looking to put big pressure on the Italian team at the bottom of the box in this pre-start.
He's gone. 25, committee 40. Space on lane. He's low of our line. Yeah, happy to go.
So decision time now for the British of whether to lead back or to trail and push.
Get him to lane, I turn up.
You're on the line already.
Stand by. 2, 1, up hard.
Not shot.
Really nice gauge by the Italian team there. Nice big gauge is what you're after.
Good timing by Luna Rossa inside the start line box.
That's good. 8 to kill. He's ahead on the ladder. Archie. No, we're good. 4. Nice lads. We may need 3 threes. 3. Let's dropping back on us. Okay, yeah. Starting to go here. 2. Holding now. Here, boys. All the way. Killing 1. You cannot here, boys.
Potentially very even start coming up here.
Full kill. Same speed. Working out. Performance here. Same speed, same height.
Race 7, Louis Vuitton Cup final. Is today the day the deadlock is broken?
A little bit higher mode here, Tanya. Good there. Parallel.
Such a close start. Luna Rossa just 9 meters back, marginally better than the British.
Yeah, good angle there. Yeah, parallel.
It's a big drag race to this left boundary. Early control in this race. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli just fractionally advantageous at the moment.
Increase in distance, we can press a bit more.
A little build too, guys.
Yeah, building.
Help me build on me with some ride height or something.
We need to build more.
We saw yesterday how well Ineos Britannia managed to get a high mode, squeeze them off.
Okay, getting good pressure.
Definitely trying to work that now.
Okay, normal mode again.
He's coming inside. I will go. Wait.
Yep.
2, 1 and board. Going in 3, 1, 2, 1, board down. 1 and board.
And lead our attack here by the Italian team. They'll jam this straight into a high mode.
Build.
They need to try and bump the British team off. Now the British are winded boat, having to keep clear.
Same at this.
Nothing in this race.
The high build's okay to me.
Yep. Coming up a little bit more. Well, here at the moment.
Yeah, you're a click faster, same high. You can take a little high if you want.
Keko Bruni on the steering wheel at the moment.
34 looks nice.
Having a little look.
Providing tactics, he needs to have a little look, but
No faster than this. This is good.
slight controlling position now, the Italians.
I'm getting too slow. Keep updating.
Okay, normal build. Building, he's gone.
2, 1, and board.
So the British team there minimising damage, having to tack away. Advantage Luna Rossa.
Nice guys. Yep. Here we go. Okay, let's restart here. 20 seconds this way.
On board with Ben Ainsley, he was forced to tack away there, so we've seen the stock standard start now several times from Luna Rossa and Ineos, with Luna Rossa preferring to start up on the windward side, take it out to the left-hand action, tack to leeward, and then gauge up to force Ineos to tack away. So that's 2 extra tacks to GBR, with Ineos now trailing by around 70 metres. And remember, 95% of these races are won by the boat that's ahead at the first
Yeah,
mark.
1 second, give me 1 second.
Hey guys,
Okay, boys, we
try and
got
get some speed for the tack.
Stand by. Go in 3, 2, 1, board down. Rest. Pushing out here, there is a major copy. Potential to get in left turn
Rossa
here.
part of Pirelli. British have got a little left shift, so bow on bow. Giveaway boat is the British team, but they do have a slight lead, so should be an easy cross from there for them.
You have to think about the Dino right potentially here. 1, mate, turning, right, 2, 1,
Side to slam right in front of the Italians there. Advantage now back to the British. Luna Rossa in a high mode, so
2, 1, board down.
we'll see a split here at the top.
Wow, how quick was that? Top gate, first leg of 8 done, and it's neck and neck after 1.
Hit it, boys. Split. 20.
Great comeback by the British. Oh, massive splashdown by the Italian team.
No, we're broken everything.
And a huge breakage on board Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
We heard that they had issues on that upwind leg.
They've massive structural failure on board the Italian boat.
All we've got to do is stay in the course.
Yeah, we're go ahead on the course. Yeah.
Go ahead to win.
Yeah, stay at the wind.
Guys, ragazzi, abbiamo un fairing in acqua là.
Tranquillo, tranquillo. We have to stay on the course.
Major problems on
we have
Luna
lost the
Rossa,
wand.
Prada
We have
Pirelli
to
on a
do
pivotal
good
day
list for
in the
our
Louis
chamber.
Vuitton Cup.
We are staying on the race.
Structural issue. It does
just
not
be
look
vocal
good
about
from what
what
we
we
see,
broke.
but we'll get confirmation.
Chip fairing.
Major advantage to Ineos Britannia.
Maybe check,
Before moving stuff, I will get rid of this fairing. Got a bit of main sheet on, guys.
Can you see, Glenn, where the issue might be?
There's a big fairing, like a structural, non-structural fairing that goes over the top of that jib track. So just trying to get some shots now on board there, but that is definitely not a good sign for the Italian team. The fairing, not a big issue, but it's what's underneath that fairing that's broken and actually punched that up through the deck. So try and get some more shots here.
Maybe we can keep sailing, but we don't have the wand. What else?
The wand's here.
What else is missing on the boat?
Outer fairing.
In the meantime, Ineos Britannia are sailing away. And sailing it away to what will be a win. Let's be blunt, let's lay it out right now. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli at the moment are dead in the water. And this is going to be a major shift in the Louis Vuitton Cup. Now, it depends how bad that damage is. And can they get back for race 8?
So Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli will just not get outside assistance, and they will be forcing the British team to sail all the way around the track. The British team will just take the foot off the gas and they'll just deliver the boat around the track to get the race win. If the Italian team get outside assistance, the race will get awarded to the British team. So they've decided just to hold, do some inspections themselves, and actually force the British team to just deliver the boat around the track, hoping, obviously, that they don't get any issue themselves, but it'll just be now a delivery race for the British team, and we'll try and get to the bottom of what is going on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
The America's Cup gods have not been kind to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. We saw them had that big traveller issue a number of races ago, and now this on a day that could see the scales tipped well towards Ineos Britannia on the road to 7 race wins.
15. Okay, stand by. 2, 1 on board. 2, 1, lead. Done it. I will. 2, 1 on board.
So just having a look on this upwind, coming up to the top mark.
Hey, just go and get the boat locked in, guys.
Yeah, I have to come back. Not going there.
Hey, no problem. There we go, late, guys.
Togli l'automatico. Togli l'automatico. Okay, yeah, 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Hey, guys.
So this is just coming in towards the top mark before we saw the issue.
Hit it, boys.
Let's have a look at some of these shots now. Oh, and a really big nosedive there. That's a huge, huge load case going down the mine at nearly 50 knots of boat speed there. And the loading on the front sail there, absolutely huge. Possibly the water pressure on the hull has actually popped or flexed the hull and actually popped all the fairings off. So that is a huge load case, and you can hear the cracking there. So I'm not 100% sure exactly whether it's just fairing damage or whether there's been anything more structural underneath that, but that is one huge load case on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
On the upwind leg, they were complaining with issues on the foil. I mean, could that have caused that massive nosedive there?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I mean, to get a big nosedive like that, there's something that's gone, whether it's something in the rudder rake ram, so the pitch of the boat changing that aggressively generally would be caused by either a ventilation on the front foil, which is unlikely, or most likely a rudder venting issue or a rake ram issue. So the rudder elevator controls the pitch of the boat, whereas the front foils generally control the vertical ride height. So what's going on here?
Very small fairing just off our port bow.
50
metres off our port bow. 10 o'clock.
So I believe the race committee were just asking Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli if there's any debris in the water, and I think Jimmy Spiegel there just saying a little bit of fairing floating off the port bow. So British team now, Shirley, just having to execute the delivery lap, or laps, to gain this vital point in this series. The shore crew of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli will be scrambling to get information, which they can't do at the moment because there can't be communication from the coach boat to the actual yacht while the race is going. So they'll be looking for as much info as they can, as quickly as they can.
It must be such a helpless feeling for the shore crew of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, but in the meantime, Ineos Britannia, the official challenger of record, just continue and are being forced by Luna Rossa to sail the full race. So 3 legs done now. They'll head down on the 4th leg downwind to complete the halfway mark. And everybody just tries to understand what we have just seen again.
So the crew on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli will just be basically talking and trying to explain the situation, because they can talk, but they can't get any comms back from the other end. So they can be listened to, but they can't receive any communications back. So they'll be providing some information, but not being able to get any answers at this point in time until the British team cross that finish line.
Heartbreaking for Luna Rossa, and I'm sure already they're thinking whether they could solve the problem for the next race. But I mean, it sounded and looked pretty serious, Glenn.
It was a huge stop, and that load case through the front of the yacht. They are designed to take those load cases in mind, but that was a huge stop, and a lot of force being transferred through the bow section and middle section of that yacht. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on here.
We can also think to keep the jib up.
This is an onboard shot, close to 50 knots of boat speed here, so nearly 100 kilometres an hour, and then big slow down to around 15 to 20 knots of boat speed. So
that the fairing up.
Piece of fairing, yeah, that's just a lightweight piece of sort of non-structural fairing, if you like, just an aerodynamic fairing. So it's what's underneath that. If there's been any major breakages underneath that fairing, that's where the real issues will
Let's
lie.
get the screws off all of this one, and we need to just screw them down. The fairing is okay.
And these front ones are ripped down.
How much on the boat can they assess what might be wrong electronically and hydraulically?
Yeah, well, the crew on board are obviously very in tune with a lot of the systems on board, but generally they're not structural engineers, and the structural team will need to come and have a really good look at that. Certainly from an operational perspective, the crew will know what's working and what's not, and the shore team and coaching team, both on their chase boat and back in the office, will they'll be seeing what's working and what's not. Just the lightweight structural fairings there on top, so that's certainly not global structure that's damaged. So fingers crossed for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, it's literally just aero structural damage and not global structural damage on board that yacht.
Ineos Britannia playing it safe. The only risk is damage to themselves. 2 boards down on this run.
Still doing 38.6 knots of boat speed in delivery mode, so they're not tied to the dock by any means, but they are absolutely just foot off the gas and in cruise control now, cruising down the highway, having a hamburger.
A little bit fast lay line here, anytime now. Okay, here we go, turning. I will. Holding.
The one word we have talked about throughout this America's Cup Regatta, as we see Ineos Britannia complete the halfway stage of race 7, is reliability. The one thing we have noticed about Ineos Britannia is reliability.
Well, the British team will be certainly hoping that stays the case through the rest of this regatta. We know that these boats are all very highly tuned pieces of equipment, and any one little mistake or structural issue can certainly turn this final series on its head, as we've just seen with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. So all boats built on the edge, but very structurally engineered really well. A lot of effort goes into these boats to make sure they can be pushed really hard, but also survive the distance as well.
3, 2, 1, mate.
We know sportsmanship is an incredibly important part of this game, but there must be in the back of the minds of Ineos Britannia right now, regardless, and they will say they don't like to win a race like that, but let's be honest, there must be a little bit in the back of the mind going, okay, an opportunity has opened up now, and they won't be thinking this, they want to race, that's what this game is all about, but they will be thinking, hang on, we're a step closer to potentially realising that dream.
Look, it's a huge team effort, isn't it, Shirley? And I mean, the guys on board the Yacht are just a very, very small part. They're the tip of the spear, if you like, and there's a huge, huge long shaft of people behind them, you know, making up the wider team. And, you know, there's electronics, there's hydraulics, there's structure, there's the coaching staff, the admin staff, and it goes on and on, suppliers, and so on and so forth.
From Luna Chase.
So that'll be...
Luna Rossa Chase, go for race committee.
Talking about abandoning. 20 seconds this way, Ben.
So the Luna Rossa Chase there, apologies, will be looking to get in there fairly quickly, I think, once the Italians are now disqualified from that race. So that point will be awarded to the British team of Ineos Britannia, and the Italian team will be all hands on deck to get to the bottom of this issue before this second race this afternoon, which they need to get organised for.
This is the umpires. Italy is retired, the race is stopped and awarded to Great Britain.
So the official call on race 7 of the Louis Vuitton Cup. A big stuff by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli off the Bearaway at the top of the mark after one leg. And they've done enough that they have had to retire, and Ineos Britannia now go up 4-3. The question that will be on everybody's lips: can Luna Rossa get ready and be fit for race 8?
Big pressure now, Shirley, on the team from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli to get ready, and certainly the British team, that is absolutely not how you want to gain a point. Very, very sad for them. They won't be celebrating that. Really, really disappointing way to get a point, but it is a point nonetheless, and it's a team effort to get there. So your boat design and engineering plays a part of that, as does the sailing side of things as well.
Absolutely, their head will be in their own performance. We can hear them already, Ben and Dylan.
And we look strong. I don't know if they had a bad moment on port. Yeah, into their later issue. We kind of seen that with that big high, it's quite hard as well to build from there.
So this is what matters most. Who can be the first to 7 race wins? Right now, Ineos Britannia have 4. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli have 3.
Working up.
Wow, we had such a good start. Absolutely equal off that line. The battle commenced.
Such an even upwind all the way through, Shirley, to that first tack, and then it was pretty much even for a long period after that as well.
Neck and neck at the top gate.
Italians just going into a high mode there and then splitting, and basically both boats going around that top gate simultaneously.
We were pretty sure there was issues on Luna Rossa at the top of that first leg. Coming round this mark, it was confirmed. Massive crash, big bang. The hopes and dreams shattered. They went from 42 knots to 8. It's a car crash.
Just not seeing that windward board coming up like I thought it would have done exiting that mark. They might have gone for the 2-board bearaway just because they did that final close tack. So whether they got a big negative loading as they were bearing away and couldn't actually get the board up, only they will know.
Heartbreak for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, trying to solve the problem before the next race.
On board Ineos Britannia, Ben Ainsley. I know you don't like to win races like that, Ben, but gee, the door's opened a little bit closer now.
Yeah, it's real tough for Luna Rossa. I don't know exactly what happened, but I hope they're all okay. And yeah, it was, it's lining up to be another cracking race. We had a pretty even start, and then we just managed to get ahead of that top gate. And obviously they went for the tack bear away, and that was the last I saw of them. So yeah, anyway, hope they're all good.
Yeah, everybody's on board's just fine. Ben, just to sort of let you know from your perspective, because I know you probably haven't had any comms there, but everybody's fine on board, and just a little bit of a nosedive at the top, as you probably saw. So fingers crossed for us here in the commentary booth that you guys can both get out and go racing again, because it's a lot easier commentating when it's a good race than just watching you guys sail around by yourself, mate, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. Yeah, let's see how it plays out, and great conditions.
Yeah, just tell us about the conditions. I mean, from our view, it looks absolutely peachy. It could not be better.
Yeah, it's pretty epic, Shirley. It's what we've seen some of these other days in this Garby direction. I think both teams are getting better at both the straight line speed and the manoeuvring of these boats, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, be assured we're loving it, Ben. Thanks. We hope to talk to you in race 8. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, have a chat to Keko. Keko, we're all a bit stunned. What happened?
Yeah, well, we had a problem at the top mark. We stuffed the bow in the water, and a lot of water coming on deck. So we lost the wind instrument and part of the fairing. I think we are going to be able to. Pretty sure we're going to be able to fix it for the next race.
Keko, we heard on the upwind leg that there was some technical issues. Were you having some issue upwind?
Can you repeat, please?
We heard on your comms that there might have been a problem with the board on the upwind leg.
Yeah, the board was not coming down, unfortunately. We were full in control of the match, and we also had that little issue, which didn't help give to Ineos the lead. We are still in the race, so clearly the second problem was the biggest one.
Yeah, Keko, just confirming that you guys are going to be good for that second race is what you'll think at this stage.
Well, the guys are working hard on deck. I think you can see them. They are doing their best, and I'm confident that Luna Rossa is going to be back as always.
Copy. Did you have a rudder issue to cause the nosedive, Keko?
No, I don't think so. I think it was more a balance between sails and foils.
Copy.
Yeah, we have to review that, obviously.
Copy, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Keko, because we know you guys love to come from behind. You've done it for the last 2 days, so we will see you in race 8.
We are not doing it on purpose.
Sure you're not. Good luck, mate.
Let's just remind you how this race 7, has come to a stop just like that. Oh my goodness. The frustration, you can feel it. You can feel it out of the voice of Keko, and he's so transparent with his emotions, isn't he?
Yeah, but good news. I mean, it sounded less severe than it looked. I mean, it looked so dramatic, and a big crash, something breaking also.
Just having a look at the sail trim on this bearaway compared to some of the other sail trims we've seen. Both sails look like they were fairly well trimmed on in that bearaway with that board down. So whether there was a slight setting issue, possibly the wrong settings on board the yacht, only they'll know, but the sails definitely look like they were very well trimmed on, which is not 100% sure that was the right thing and possibly caused that nosedive.
So just updating the situation, race 7 in the Louis Vuitton Cup final has been won by Ineos Britannia. They now lead 4-3 as there are frantic repairs on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. You've heard helmsman say, Keko say, we probably are going to be good to go for race number 8, which is fantastic. On the water, Peter Lesser, what have you made of all of this?
Well, in the Cup, reliability and breakages have always been a key factor, and that's the third major that Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Remember, they broke a Traveller, they broke Battens, and now they've had this big one at the top mark. And fast boat, but you've got to get it round the course in A1 condition. And really, that has been their problem so far. Even in this finals, they've lost 2 points because of breakages.
But they have come back each time. They've come back and grabbed the win.
Well, that's the mouth-watering piece of the equation. You know, they're working frantically. We're right alongside at the moment, and there's all action on board. Everyone's, you know, to the pumps trying to get the boat race ready for race 8. And really, at this point, it is a high-pressure race for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli for them to stay in the hunt for the Louis Vuitton final.
We are operating now at the very highest of the wind range, and these yachts would have been designed a lot lower down. This was not expected, this kind of breeze.
Yeah, the boats sort of perform best, I guess, through that sort of, 10 to 14 knot range. That's right smack bang in the middle of the conditions. And I guess what the typical conditions are in Barcelona around this sort of time of the year, the lighter to medium range. So these upper range conditions that we have been seeing, both teams will be operating at the very top end of what these boats are set up to do.
Are you encouraged by what you see and what you hear from Keko Bruni, that it doesn't appear as bad as we thought and saw?
I think that's very much the case, and I think those aero fairings, which the guys are absolutely frantically working on at the moment, there'll be tape, fiberglass, sailcloth, anything they can do to get that repaired and that fairing back on the deck will be great news. So that fairing, a non-structural item, just an aero fairing, and that's great news for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli fans.
Yeah, I mean, it looked major. This is fantastic news that they can repair it with a bit of sticky tape and Dacron fabric.
Well, for all of us, that big cracking sound as the boat went down, as we picked up on all those fantastic audio microphones inside the actual hull of the boat around that FCS area, picked up that big cracking sound, and I sort of shuddered sitting here in my chair hearing that noise and was hoping that wasn't anything major. But fortunately, hopefully, that is the case. It's just an aero fairing, not a major structural failure.
Going into race 8, though, you'd have to be nervous. You'd have to be nervous going, not thinking what you're thinking about structure.
Yeah, look, I think the structural engineers, they'll all be on board now. They've obviously got the right people in the right roles there doing absolutely everything they can. It's so important under these high-pressure situations, Shirley, to have the right people in the right roles.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the America's Cup being the ultimate team sport. It's a team of 100 and something people, and just look at this. When something happens, they absolutely spring into action. They know exactly what to do to get back on track.
This reminds me so much of an incident on any Formula One racetrack where those things are built by so much carbon fibre. They look mangled going back into a garage. Within 30 minutes, the magicians that are the engineers and the carbon fibre specialists have the car, and now what we're going to see, the boat looking as good as new.
Yeah, like if you damage a front wing, you pop it off and you pop another one on, and effectively that's what these guys are doing now. They're basically having to use some sail making skills as well as some boat building skills here, some sticky back sailcloth. You're pretty much using everything you can that's available to you in a short period of time to get that fairing back together. So important to have those aero fairings on the deck. Without that, the aerodynamic performance of the boat takes a huge hit. And as we've seen in this close racing, you need absolutely every metre that you possibly can to beat your opponent.
Just a little bit of a development here while you guys were chatting. One of the Luna Rossa chase boats ripped away from here, and they're heading back to the harbour. I can only assume they're heading back to base to pick something up, but they were full noise going away at maximum speed back to Luna Rossa base.
All right, thanks for that, Pete. Just stay right where you are, mate. You are eyes on the water there for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. So the question now remains is that the race 8 was set down for 3:15 this afternoon. So we're looking at about 35 minutes. 35 minutes, if my calculations are correct. 36 minutes to have this boat ready to go for race number 8. Oh my goodness.
The team will be just doing everything they can to get that fairing stuck down. The aerodynamic suction on either side of the boat, depending on what tack you're on, is really huge. So the onset flow, if you like, or the orbital flow rotation as it's coming onto the boat, very much sucking on the leeward side and actually pressing down on the windward side. So on the leeward side of the sails, or the downwind side, if you like, that suction, or the vertical suction, will actually be basically trying to rip that fairing up and off the deck. So they'll be doing everything they can to really get that stuck down properly, because there'll be lots and lots of kilograms, tens or even hundreds of kilograms of load getting pulled up vertically on that leeward side as you're getting around about 120 to 130 kilometres an hour of airflow over the deck on the leeward side.
if your ability to respond to pressure is going to be tested, it's about to be tested for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They've already done it twice. They've come back twice to have this series live. In the last 2 days, the winds have gone Britannia, Italy, Britannia, Italy. And it's again gone Britannia. Will it go Britannia, Italy, or will it go Britannia, Britannia, and give them a 2-point clearance at the end of the day? That is something that we are sitting and waiting to see what will happen. This boat has to be ready in around 30 minutes time. So if you're wondering why we are in this position on the upwind leg and just after the rounding, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli had the biggest of moments on a critical day in the Louis Vuitton Cup.
3, 2, 2, 1, hold on. Board is not going. Board is not going.
Hey, hold that. Hey, just go get the one.
So this was when they were heading to the top gate for only the first time in an 8-leg race. And then this.
And that was the moment, the big bow down on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, and that's a huge load case on board that yacht. So Francesco Bruni saying that they basically just had some setting issues, which sort of are possibly operator error, you know, with the way they were setting up the boat. So obviously getting to the bottom of that, they're not going to get us too much information on that, but I think reading between the lines, they possibly had the boat set up in a slightly wrong configuration, potentially going around that top mark. So unfortunately, the resultant case being a big bow down and a big structural load case going through that yacht.
They did do the difficult manoeuvre at the top of the course, the tack bear away. It's always fraught with danger.
Yeah, the tack bear away is a really difficult one because you're basically tacking the boat, you're washing off about 7 to 8 knots of boat speed, and then you're going straight into the power zone. So the load on the rig basically is just trying to fly the rig off the front of the boat. So a massive pitch down effect as the sails go into that big power window, and that little rudder elevator at the back basically trying to hold the back of the boat down in the water. So tons of downforce load on that actually elevator holding the back of the boat down, and that can actually really put a lot of load through the cant arms and the foils and the flaps. So very, very difficult. They didn't look like they'd eased a lot of sail either exiting that manoeuvre, so potentially the settings they had on board the yacht to do that bear away might have been set up more for a straight line normal rounding rather than a tack bear away. So that's just one of the things I can think of that may have caused that incident.
How much would that rattle? How much would that rattle the team? How much would that rattle Keko and Jimmy?
Those guys will get down to the start for this next race, and they will absolutely stick to the process. They'll be going through the motions, and you will absolutely see no difference in the performance or the comms or their execution in this next race. They're very, very well drilled, and these things happen. This is just another day at the office. This won't affect them one bit.
They have got everybody on board to make this happen. It is a race against the clock. The start will be at 1:15. Max Serena there, trying to stick it all down.
Yeah, Max Serena once was a rigger, and I worked with Max about 15 or 16 years ago on a big trimaran once upon a time, and Maxie very handy with rigging and sticking things together back from when he was a young bloke. So not scared to get his hands dirty in these situations, as we've seen with all the teams across the board, everybody chipping in where they need to get the team back out there, and great to have some skilled hands on board.
Little Tricolore flying high above their base, and they would certainly love that to be flying high at the end of race 8 if they could grab a win, because once again they must feel like it's Groundhog Day. They're going to have to come from behind again to try and keep this Louis Vuitton Cup final deadlocked. 4-3 Ineos Britannia right now, and it's not frantic, it's just busy on board Luna Rossa. Let's go on board and have a chat to Francesco Bruni. How's it looking at the moment, Francesco?
The work is progressing well. Still quite a lot to do, but I'm confident that we are going to make it for the start. Maybe the boat will not be as good as before, but I think the fairing will be pretty much in good conditions for maybe not pretty, but efficient.
All the structure underneath there, everyone's happy, Francesco, that the boat will be performing at its best?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll go for if we can, we'll go for a short sail and check that everything is good. It's hard to check everything, obviously, but I think I'm confident that the boat is going to be fine.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you.
So confidence coming out of the mouth of Francesco Bruni that Luna Rossa will be. We're going to be confident about this. Will be ready for race 8 in the Louis Vuitton Cup final. Seeing what the designs of these boats are all about, and the search of more power, and we're seeing that, and more speed, we're seeing that. The AC75 class rule was tweaked to improve light wind performance. Some parts of the boat are supplied. The mast, rigging, foil cant arms, and hydraulics are all stock components. But there's still plenty of areas the designers can experiment with to find that winning edge.
Ineos Britannia is the Challenge of Record for the 37th America's Cup. The Challenge of Record is the one challenger that negotiates the conditions and the rules under which the America's Cup is held. That is a position that the other challengers don't have, and that's clearly an advantage. It is not a huge advantage, but it is an advantage.
Having someone as senior as Martin Fisher is in the design space of a team that was involved in developing this class rule has been a key part to making sure that the Formula One designers we have involved in our project get up to speed as quickly as possible.
So I've been very lucky to be involved in America's Cup, Formula One, and then back in America's Cup. A lot of people think, what can possibly be in common between an America's Cup boat and a Formula One car? Well, actually, it's the whole process of the design, it's the technology. One of the advantages that Formula One can bring is this more relentless, consistent approach to bringing every single area of the operation up to the same level.
Formula One and high-level sailing are very technical sports, so there's lots of overlap, even though a boat doesn't have wheels and Formula One boat doesn't have sails. But in both areas we deal with complex mechanical systems, hydraulic systems, electronic systems. A Formula One car is aerodynamically extremely complex. They have done in the past a huge amount of research to deal with such a complicated shape. So there's a huge amount of knowledge, of know-how in the Formula One world that we can use.
There are huge similarities between Formula One and America's Cup design. And we found a very neat and very close interlinking between the worlds of Formula One and the worlds of the Cup.
I think the Formula One design environment can bring quite a lot to the AC75 design program, and they're very good at looking for the smaller gains, and those small marginal gains do add up to substantial performance differences.
So this America's Cup is the second time that we've been running the AC75 class. We're expecting there to be a lot of evolutions from the learnings from the first round, but also there's an opportunity for development, for refinement of a lot of concepts. I think as Challenger Record, it gave us the opportunity to discuss the regulation, discuss where it should be, how it should evolve, and what would be beneficial for the class.
The AC75 is a relatively new class. It's the second round this time, and up to this event, racing has only been held in more or less flat water conditions. Last time we could really push for maximum performance without looking too much at tolerance. So in waves, you will be forced to sail a certain amount of the time quite far off your design conditions, and the boat must be able to cope with that. I think with the help from Mercedes, we have been able to put together a very structured process for the design. So I hope that is one of our strong points.
For a British team, the America's Cup is just one of those unfinished pieces of business that sometime we just have to be successful at. After many, many years of winning world championships in Formula One, it would be absolutely the cherry on the cake of my career personally.
Winning the America's Cup with this team, and even more so for me as the chief designer of this team, for me that's the holy grail of yacht design. So after that I can stop. No, I exaggerate, but it's the most difficult trophy you can win in sailing, and it's the highest level of design competition in yacht design. So for me it's the holy grail.
The design race is an ever-evolving one, and Ineos Britannia are now thinking, okay, is Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli fully fit? She may be a bit battered superficially, but what's going on underneath? Francesco Bruni has said to us they are confident they will go racing. We're 22 minutes and 10 seconds and counting the start of race number 8. I suppose the question now is, will they discover any gremlins, Shirley, potentially when they get going?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, they'll obviously be hoping not, but definitely had issues with the foil at the top of that upwind leg. It was a big bang on the boat and a huge crash from 42 knots to 8. You don't do that without causing some sort of damage.
But we do understand, and you mentioned it when we first saw it happen and post what it was happening, there are monitors to tell how much stress that boat is taking and whether or not it's actually an acceptable level of, stress.
Absolutely, there's a lot of optic fibre and a lot of load sensors right the way throughout these race yachts, and those loads would have been very, very closely monitored by the shore crew inside the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli base, as well as on board their chase boat. And that data, if you like, would have been post-analysed. All those load cases would have been back calculated, run through into some of the CFD or the computer fluid dynamics and FEA, modelling the finite element analysis on board the yacht to sort of see if there was any load spikes that would have been over or above what the actual acceptable load cases were.
Jimmy Spittle focusing on process, discussing racing with coach Philip Presti and Hamish Wilcox, getting his head in the game.
Weather calls now, so very, very important for the sailing team to just focus on what they do well. They don't need to worry about the repair as such. They just need to worry about racing well down the track, and those weather calls and those match racing tactics being discussed. The only difference is now they're doing it on board the chase boat rather than doing it over the comms sitting in between the two races. So fingers crossed, all the work that they're doing can hang in there. They will have dried that off, given it a good clean to get rid of any salt residue. A bit of cleaner, and hopefully those fairings can stay stuck on there for this next race.
Do we think that part of that conversation process is also about how they that bear away and they go, how they dealt with that?
No, look, I think what they'll be discussing now will be just purely about the next race. It'll all be about the weather, where they want to start on the line, what they need to do to actually get the upper hand on their opponents. What happened there previously, they'll know all about that. All done. It's all about eyes forward from this point on.
At this particular point in time, coach like that man, Philippe Presti, what do you think he's trying to instill in them? I mean, we know about process, you know, eyes forward, a rear vision mirror, forget about it.
Yeah, look, I think, and Shirley, you'd probably agree with this, there'd be a lot of comms going back and forward with the weather team at the moment. It'll be a lot about what the wind's trending, what, you know, shifts are coming down the course, and what the general trend is of the day, and what's likely to play out as the boats go forward. So the coach is he's not there to give you a pep talk and a pat on the back at this point in time, really. It's all about just executing that process and looking forwards.
Everybody in this team has a specific job, whether it's in crisis or normal life. And Philip Presti and Hamish Wilcox know what to do. They're there to help prepare the sailors for the race of their life.
There appears to be a lot of, to use Shirley words, sticky tape over that specific area.
Yeah, at this point in time, like they're in such a hurry, they haven't got time to actually mix up any resin or any glue, basically, to actually get that fairing to stick down. And because it is such a big, flat, wide surface area, this tape, both Cuban fibre and sticky back sailcloth, often used with sail repairs, actually. This is actually being put on over a big surface area, and hopefully that'll do the job over a big surface area that's very, very strong to actually glue down. They would have put double-sided tape underneath as well. So that bonding area, very, very good. So hopefully that's enough to do what it has to do, but a lot of load going through that area aerodynamically.
Reminds me of badly wrapping a Christmas present. All that tape over the place. I'm terrible at that, but they're doing it a little bit different. So
always a good stitch up with the kids when you use a couple of rolls of tape on a Christmas present, isn't it? Watch them trying to do it.
Well, they certainly won't want to be unwrapping this one in race 8. They'll want to keep this one nice and tight. Jimmy Spittle in the background. And they're getting ready to do their test sail with 17 minutes and 27 seconds counting towards the start of race number 8.
You'll see the mass exodus now of all the shore crew, the structural engineers, sailmakers, cyclors, all of the above, and they'll be really needing to execute this test sail well. In the next 5 to 8 minutes will give us a really clear indication of what is likely to be the outcome of Luna Rossa Prata Rally racing in this next race. So they'll need to get fired up, get going, and we'll be listening to some of their onboard comms as they take off, and hopefully we'll get confirmation that everything's a-okay with their AC-75 and they can get into this next race.
What is impressive to watch is the process, and the as we've used this word a lot in how to sail a boat, but the efficiency of handling an issue and just getting on with it. It's actually quite, you can sit there all day and just watch, because they're like little ants. Everybody knows their role. I love it. I love it.
Well, it's not an accident. They would have worked out the what ifs for lots of eventualities, and those support boats are filled with stuff to repair all kinds of things, and it's well thought out. The world's best on that boat.
Just that sheer volume of water going up over the deck there on board Luna Rossa Prata Rally. That's actually done the damage, if you like, as that sort of potentially, a ton or two of water landing on those very, very light structural fairings. You see with the no step sign, even one person on there at 80 or 90 kilos stepping on that would break it. So a couple of tons of water on there, definitely doing some damage. Good to see the cyclors clipping in. You'll start to hear them warming up, pumping a bit of oil through to the tank just to warm the legs up again, and this next few minutes absolutely critical to see whether this boat will be seaworthy to get around the track again.
Looking at Jimmy Spittle, that reminds me of pilots, how they go around their boat just to their planes, just to check everything before they get ready to fly again. Well, that's exactly what Jimmy is doing. Francesco Bruni has been stuck in his board helm seat, and we've been grateful to Francesco for allowing us inside and giving us an update as to where Luna Rossa is right now. Right now, we're going to see, and we'll probably try and listen in too, on their test sail, just to see how fit Luna Rossa is before race 8. Enos Britannia, on the other hand, they'll be just going, right, it's another race one, another race. We don't have to worry about them. We just have to go ahead and bag another one, because if they bag another one, wow. If they bag another one, they're 5-3 up, and that's a massive advantage in the Louis Vuitton Cup on the race to 7.
Jimmy Spittle on his 8th America's Cup campaign. He's had a bit of adversity. He's had to come back from curveballs. He'll know what to do.
Sport loves an underdog. Sport genuinely loves an underdog, and right now, considering this, you'd have to say, well, who's the underdog here? Maybe just at this particular point in time, going into race 8, Luna Rossa's the underdog.
Well, being a point down, I guess you are, in one way or another, you are the underdog, but they'll be wanting to come out, and they'll be wanting to absolutely get it back to even Stevens again, so they can start the race tomorrow again.
Plenty of examples in the America's Cup of teams bouncing back with adversity, and we saw it from Luna Rossa earlier in the regatta when they had that baton issue and they had to change mainsails, and they were shaken but not defeated. They came back in that second race a couple of days ago to win in the afternoon. Can they pull off another Houdini act here? It's impressive looking at the Shaw team and how they operate, how they're organised they are. They've got all the tools, and if they've made the boat secure and watertight, that's impressive.
It's hard not looking at Jimmy Spittle going, imagine if we won from here.
It certainly comes up with some classic one-liners. Oh, Jimmy Spittle. I guess coming from Australia, you just end up sometimes coming out with a few subconsciously. That's how we grow up. But the repair done on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, a little quicker fix than the last time I actually raced against Jimmy Spittle, when we actually capsized the AC50. And we managed to get the boat fixed up again after a couple of days and get it back on the water again, and had a fantastic battle through. But these guys just need to get this going and make sure the boat's working. So fingers crossed for the Italian team. Everything gets a green light.
So wherever you are watching around the world, we are watching Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli reset for race number 8 in the Louis Vuitton Cup final. Why are we looking at this reset? Because quite some time ago, it feels like quite some time ago, they had a major. And that's the major right there, is on the bearway out of the top gate. And they had this massive nosedive, and it was a stonker.
And this pure, unfortunately, is
a really big one there.
Blow away.
And water coming over the deck. Absolutely blowing out the forward fairings there. You see the trimmers, Perto, Molinari and Andrea Tessi just getting an absolute faceful, and there goes the aerodynamic fairings out the back of the boat. So a huge load case there through the yacht.
If it comes off, we take it off. What do you think?
Fingers crossed that all hangs together for them in this next race. So big load case on both the foil arms and the structure, as well as the bodies.
It doesn't have to be pretty to win a race. It just has to win a race.
As long as it's effective, doesn't matter a bit of grey tape and some hay band. And sometimes win a regatta.
Silver Bullet's been dented a little bit, but now they're back and ready to go. Cyclors warming things up, and under 11 minutes to go, they'll now get a chance to get going and see how well she is feeling.
It's super important to have that good team behind you. They'll be full support of the sailing team, and that's really important, just to get back on the horse and have another go.
Any banana?
Just have a listen in here on, see how this boat actually takes off here. This will give us an indication.
Copy. Yeah. But no permanent banana feature, if not small.
These windy conditions, boats taking
L'amore del fiocco è particolarmente bassa, è tutto normale.
about a minute to get up to speed to actually take off, as it's quite windy.
I'm limiting the max spanner.
Oh, yeah, copy.
trimmer
Okay,
there,
converting.
controlling the mast rotation. You need to rotate the mast to get the sail to twist.
A little speed first.
It's a tense moment, this.
Okay, on me.
Haircut is going there.
So sails being trimmed on now. Big push from the cyclaws to trim those sails on as the flow over the foils starts to increase. Riding moment coming on.
Boys.
Look at that
A big push
acceleration.
now.
Okay, so next move is attack.
No, just pull up point first. At a target first. Just get past this mark.
And sheet is in a good spot.
So that windward foil down, just to reduce the riding moment a little bit, to make the sail trimming on for the cyclaws that little bit easier.
Yeah, working fine, working fine. 640 to entry, port entry.
Good comms from Francesco, that's a good sign.
Coming up.
Yeah, we play the wall.
Boat now sailing at full load, full riding moment, so that's a fantastic sign there for the Italian team.
We are right on top of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Okay, guys, good puff to come. 5. Down by tack here. 2, 1, big gust here.
See that foil come up, which it does. Boat back to max load there. And no excited comms, which is fantastic news for all of us. Boat looks like it's working well.
You wouldn't know what had happened, would you? Look at that. The silver bullet is flying again.
All good. I think next move is probably out to board better way.
Adesso sono 80%, vorrei almeno un 2-3% in meno.
Stand by for a board down. 2, 1.
Ok.
Tappella. 2, 1. Very wide.
Allora bloccami anche i miei tasti.
So you are watching the test run of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli on the back of their big nosedive in race 7. They trail Ineos Britannia in the Louis Vuitton Cup final 4-3, and it looks good that we are on course for race number 8. Can they do what they've done before over the last 2 days and come from behind again?
But I mean, it's not a big deal.
On this side as well, but it was not a problem.
Well, let's check in with the conditions. We have a slight increase in pressure that was forecast. 20 knots down the side of the track. Plenty wind. Let's have a look at the ghost boat. Well, once again, the ghost boat is starting at that right-hand end of the start line, so we get maximum run into that left-hand boundary and then approaching the top marks from the right-hand side.
Let's go on to the course. Peter Lester, conditions from where you are.
Looks pretty even over the course, but all day, which has been a bit unusual, the left-hand side, especially at the bottom of the course, looks a little bit fresher breeze, and then top right, as we've seen, I think it's an effect from the port, and there's a bit of high land over there. Top right approach does look quite strong, but more pressure at the moment in the left-hand side off the line.
So let's go racing. Race 8 in the Louis Vuitton Cup final.
They may be behind on the scoreboard and their ship's a little bruised, but throughout these final matches, we've marveled at this team's ability to answer every challenge that's thrown at them. We know they have the resilience to bounce back. On the wheels, it's Jimmy Spittle and Francesco Bruni, fully in sync, confident, and right now it's all about that perfect execution to get this win. And keeping the boat fast and smooth throughout the manoeuvres is Molinari's and Tise. And on the pedals, providing all the oil they need for this head-to-head, it's Voltolini, Simeon Rossetti and Luca Kerwin.
Ineos Britannia, the official challenger of record for the 37th America's Cup here in Barcelona, going today. Second race, a point clear against opponents Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli after a gifted point in race 1 today. Ben Ainsley in the driver's seat on starboard, and behind him controlling the foil package is Bledden Mon. On the port side of the yacht again is Dylan Fletcher and Lee McMillan. Powering the big twin-skin sail package in today's second race is Todd Hunter, Parkinson, Leask and Hunter.
So let's throw something else into the story of this day in the Louis Vuitton Cup. We've just found the wind limit for race 8. And so race 8 is now due to start at 19 minutes past 3. That's 3:19. We'll give them a few more minutes just to maybe do a little bit of tweaking and make sure that nothing's flapping around and not so aero out there.
Are you writing this script today, Stephen, or who's doing this?
I don't know, because there's an America's Cup god overlooking here going, oh, let's see what we can just throw at everybody today.
Well, we only must have just tripped the wind limit there, because looking at the breeze on the course at the moment, we're only seeing sort of 18s and 19s, sometimes 20s. So we must have just had a little puff came through over that last 5-minute period, which we can see just a little spike there from the average, which must have tripped that wind limit. But that will give the crew on board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli a little bit of time to actually get a little bit more tape out there and just stick everything down. That aerodynamic fairing, absolutely critical to sealing the sails to the deck. Everything that basically flows behind that, absolutely critical. And that fairing itself actually affects what's happening in front of it as well. So really, really important, the fairings there to balance the boat well and to reduce that
This is
drag.
the race committee. We failed the wind limit. Start time is now 15:21.
We're looking at the trimmer, Alberto Moreneris, just making some tweaks around that make-do fairing. Andrea Tesi on the other side.
Drag being such a critical part on these boats, and the reduction of the drag, if you like, is all very, very important. And aerodynamically, the boats really, really detailed to actually reduce that aero drag. When you look at those frontal...
This is the race committee. We have failed the wind limit. Start time is now 15:23.
So a little puff coming through at the moment. Just the frontal shots on board these boats when you see them sailing is just so minimalistic. They look really big from the side, but if you look at the front-on shots of the boat foiling, that projected frontal area, absolutely minimal, and that's why the sails are sheeted so tightly and are very, very stood to actually reduce that parasitic drag, and that frontal area so minimal on these boats, but all about aerodynamics.
This slight delay will be welcome, won't it, for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli? They just get to tidy things up, check the settings. Also on the coach boat, time with the coach boat, just plan the strategy and perhaps check the boat in a little bit more depth than they were able to before.
So the hydrodynamic side of things also with these boat designs, really, really important as well. And obviously the efficiency of the aero package has to be matched with the efficiency of the hydro package. So both in the air and in the water, super, super critical to be efficient.
You've heard it all before. There's no second place in the America's Cup. You either win or you lose, and each team's fate is decided in a match race. It's 1 against 1. Nobody knows the intricacies and nuances better than the coaches. So we got Ineos Britannia's Ian Williams and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli's Philippe Presti to dissect the tactics of success.
Yeah, Lisa, maybe we follow him up and then drive down. He's high, just so you know. Yeah, coming down more. Okay, turning up hard. Hey, keep it on, boys.
In that race, you just have to finish ahead of your opponent, and so anything you can do to slow them down, to impede them, is a benefit to you. So for sure, it's an aggressive part of the sport.
The British will be just matching and wanting to just tack right in front of the Swiss team here.
First of all, it's a yacht race. So if you're fast, if you're smart, if you play the shifts well, you've got a good chance to win the game.
We can protect the right if we want. I think we same plan to me.
If you can maneuver your boat and get the other boat in trouble, get them off the foils, that obviously converts to a very big lead. It's a bigger gain than putting a penalty on the opposition.
Decision time for Ineos, putting Alinghi right in the dirt there.
trying to push the other boats off the foils. If you can achieve that in the pre-start or anywhere around the course, then that's definitely a big win.
Yeah, still off the foil here.
Great start by Sir Ben Ainsley and his team on Ineos Britannia. They had a plan and they executed that.
That's a million different ways to get out of the starting box free or with control or being controlled.
He's coming towards us, so bow down if you can.
What's very different with this game is you've got a box. So basically you're kind of confined into a space which is quite small compared to the boat, the speed of the boats.
He's going to the line. That's nice for us.
Well, in the pre-start, you're really trying to deliver your boat to just behind the start line at start time.
Here we go. 3, 2, way up plan.
Going as fast as possible. At the same time, anything you can do to prevent the other boat from being in that position is obviously a bonus.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing 4 metres over the line. Beautifully controlled by Ineos Britannia.
And then on top of that, you're also trying to think about the race course, which side of the course you want to be on. And so if you can be on the favoured side relative to your opponent, that's also a bonus.
Great start by American Magic. They really wanted that left-hand side, and they took it.
I think you analyse the opposition in two ways, really. You look at the history of the individuals, and that's Jimmy, but it's also Francesco, and it's also the coach Philippe, and how they work together. And then you also go into the details of what they've been doing in their semi-final against American Magic, in the round robins against us and other teams.
Potential for a hook if he goes. Yeah, I think we can hook. Great.
Trying to predict how they're going to approach the final, for sure, we're looking into that. But also being flexible, because no doubt they'll come out with something to surprise us.
Something like that, yeah.
So Ben's main characteristic is, you know, if he thinks he can kill you, he will do it. You know, and that's really his mindset.
Alinghi having to avoid protest here. Big risk of a collision. Oh, that is super close there.
Protest, driving.
He sees the opportunities and he go for it.
That was the master against an apprentice. Pretty to watch, but it could have been ever so ugly.
Well, I think the thing that defines Ben is his ability to finish races, regattas off. He sometimes starts a little slow in regattas, but by the end he's definitely on it, and that's a huge plus for a match race regatta. It's all about getting into the next round, and it gets tougher as you go through, and in the end it's all about getting that final race win.
Nice work, guys. Solid.
What I really appreciate on Jimmy is his stability under pressure. All the tricks, the match racing, aggression.
Looking for everything out of this, boys.
He's got it, you know, he knows. It's not going to be a surprise for him. He kind of keep us a little bit on feet on the ground.
Sign of a strong team, boys, when you can take that sort of pressure.
Jimmy's a legend of our sport. He likes to talk a lot. You'll hear him talking to the umpires a lot.
Umpires just making sure you got our protest button.
He loves to use the press conference as well to try and get into the head of his opponent. He's pretty good at it.
I was only half listening, sorry.
Well, I'm super excited to see Ben and Jimmy go head-to-head in what appear to be pretty well-matched boats. I think I said 20 years ago I thought that Jimmy and Ben were the preeminent sailors of my generation. And they raced together and won the America's Cup, and it's absolutely a mouth-watering prospect to see them go against each other, and I think it'll be a real ding-dong.
Very even on that start, nothing in it.
There won't be any prisoners, I was saying. It's going to be a big fight.
Ineos Britannia, we are 3 minutes and 50 and counting towards race 8. We'll wait for an update from race management as to whether or not we have failed or passed the wind test. The real question now, how strong is Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli after their big nosedive, and can they create another little piece of America's Cup history and come from behind after being bruised, as Shooty quite beautifully said, and come and throw another punch in the face of Ineos Britannia. Wow, hang on for this one. Wherever you are watching around the world, or if you're on the Fan Zone and Race Village, we are in for a potentially another classic in the America's Cup.
This is the race committee. We have now met the win limit, and this race is live.
Heart rates just went up another 20 beats because we are good to go in race 8 of the Louis Vuitton Cup. Italy will come in from port. Ineos Britannia will come in from starboard. You know there are people that want to see their team win. Will it be Luna Rossa or will it be Ineos Britannia? They're ready to go, the Italian fans. I can't see too many Union Jacks. Oh, there's one. Oh, it's going to be a goodie, this one.
Really top-end conditions here, right up at the limit. Just made the wind limit there under 21 knots, so expect to see gusts over 21 in this race as the breeze potentially builds a click.
It's a green light for Luna Rossa in on port, now waiting on Ineos Britannia. Big moment for both these teams. Green light for Ineos Britannia, and we are ready to go.
Top end pressure and also sea state. Big race this.
Potentially one of the most important races of this Louis Vuitton final series. Cyclors absolutely going to be working hard in about a minute's time. They're cruising at the moment, but the big push will be coming about 45 seconds to go before both boats get off the line.
On your line.
Start line is square, no advantage either end.
Working down into a lead.
The Italian team will just sail down the boundary here and they will jibe back, trying to land on their time on distance at the start, forcing the British. Close to the boundary, British team, they'll have to spin the boat inside and get a boundary penalty. Oh, they've got a bit on the British. And they've skidded the boat out of bounds.
This is the umpires, GBR boundary penalty, GBR boundary penalty.
A massive mistake there by the British team. They tried to get a little too fancy, too close to the line of the boundary, and they've gone out. So the Italian team now just have to start, and the British team will have to get 75 metres behind. So big advantage for the Italian team.
If you wanted another twist in the America's Cup, you just got it.
Gets trimmed up and peeled. My wheel. Yeah. Okay. And you can press now. Pressing here. Racing all the time for us. Racing. Okay, both it up. Backing out after the mark.
Can't be early, the Italians. They're not.
We are racing in race 8 of the Louis Vuitton Cup. Who handles the pressure most?
So a 75-metre deficit. Expect the Italians to immediately tack as well and just try and lock this rate down from the start. British having to do everything they can to make up that 75-metre deficit, which is quickly turned into 130 metres. Luna Rossa now will just be absolutely making sure they stay completely inside their opponent.
What if he tacks? Oh, just going to regroup, guys. I think we hit him. Yeah, 40 looks pretty nice. Yep. Watch the waves. And by 2, 1, and he's on.
So the British team there not being affected by the dirty air out of this tack by the Rossa Parapirelli, but the Italians controlling the race where they're actually going. So unless the British have got a speed advantage, what we've seen previously is that distance should stay very, very similar across this trip over to the left-hand boundary.
Comms on board Luna Rossa Parapirelli. Sounds so calm. We're back to normal, business as usual.
I think we still do the disinvestment if it takes. Yeah, 40 looks good. Also gaining a little on the high line. Yeah. In general, a bit more lower deal, GB +1. Coming at you.
Well, what a day. Just full of drama, and we've had a little bit more with Ineos just losing control out on the boundary, so advantage to Luna Rossa. The wounded Italians are back in this one. Now it's about just being really smart in these really uprange conditions. Just hope the boat's not wounded. They're about halfway up the first lead.
boats very, very even in their upwind performance, and this is where the Italians will put the boat into a slightly faster mode and force the British there to sail a faster mode as well, and they're sitting right in the dirty air there of their opponent. So you can see basically where the spray is coming off the Italian boat blowing downwind. That's pretty much where the wind's blowing, so the British there having to put the bow down and keep that air intake clean. Dust going out the back. They wanted to keep their air filters absolutely shiny to stay in this race. Both boats on their M3 mainsails, or their smallest mainsails and smallest jibs.
I think we go earlier. Yeah, anytime. 3, 2, 1, more down.
British opting to take the right turn at the top. Rossa now have the choice of either to take that off them or to actually take left turn at the top. They'll probably just to keep it simple, I think.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli leads at the top gate, but it's only leg 1 of 8. Who controls this race the best is in a strong position. We saw 2 races like this yesterday, and the controlling boat in front on both occasions did a magnificent job. Around goes Ineos Britannia. Both boats, quite simply, flying at pace.
54 knots exit speed there for Ineos Britannia. Around 53 for the Italians. The Italians just dipping a board in, just to remove a bit of riding moment to get those sails sheeted back on and keep the boat foiling. The British now, a couple of touchdowns as they've exited that top. Really, really top-end conditions here. Slight advantage to the Italians.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward gate, lengthening the course to 1.95 nautical miles.
Well, this one's more feral and free range. We're right at the top of the range at 21 knots, and both teams are just ripping it. Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, if you thought they were going to take it easy, well, certainly hasn't affected them, the setback they had in the previous race. So far, they're sticking it together beautifully.
We did a little gain on this right turn.
Just see the little puffs of cavitation there on the top surface of that leeward foil going through the water. So both teams right at the very, very top end of their boat's performance. 48 knots the British, 49 knots of boat speed.
Just one in here.
Absolutely hauling the mail down this course.
20 seconds on starboard.
There's a timing zone before small functions.
Surely you were quite right about the comms of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Hearing Jimmy Spittle go, okay lads, one in here I think, off we go.
Yeah, don't need to do anything fancy here. Both boats just so efficient and deep-powered in these windy conditions, so not putting a lot of dirty air out the back compared to the lighter medium airs.
Small gain though to the British on this run.
We know they're fast downwind. The British particularly exiting out of the jibes when they get it lined up well. They can make some big gains, but it's going to be all about execution for the Italians from here to remain in control.
Nice work, guys. Keep pushing here. Nice gains here, lads.
Big bottom mark roundings coming up here for both teams.
Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli still leading in race 8 of the Louis Vuitton Cup final. Both boards down, taking it nice and easy. Around they go, but not too far behind now. Ineos Britannia, they've made up some ground.
Yeah, that was a very, very slow rounding there by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Huge gains to the British. Italians going around only at 34 knots and a nearly 10 knot speed advantage to the British team, who are well and truly on the breeze and lined up very, very quickly. So expect to see a little gain there back to the British. The Italians, though, possibly going the right direction.
Having a quick look at the ghost boat here. A slight gain to that left-hand side of the track where Luna Rossa is. Not much in it.
I'm tipping some gains back to the British team here. team having to sail just slightly more leeward heel than the Italians just having that bustle just a little deeper. And they're getting the same effective cant.
Coming across your bow now. Yeah, a little lefty for us, so nice. Let's go, lads. This is good.
About 1.5 to 2 degrees difference there in the heel angle of both boats, but both boats achieving very similar performance, just slightly different methodology with their aero packages.
Past that intersection, wouldn't it? Yep.
See how fast that foil's going through the water upwind here.
Luna Rossa deciding to sail their own race,
I'm trying to.
not engage in the fight.
Roll control. Copy. Okay, 25. Open course then, pass intersection. Go. Come by. And forward. 2, 1, made. Starting.
Two titans of the Americas Cup just going at it.
There would have been some discussions, as we talked about, with the coaching and the weather team on board both teams, and they'll know exactly what's going on with the breeze. So the Italians not engaging in a match race in these upper range conditions, just focusing on sailing their own boat, trying to maintain that lead. The British, though, clawing themselves back into this slowly.
Hey, tack, we will tack. I don't think it will. Hey, tack up on us, I think we tack. Okay. Take this fit. Little meld here.
Yeah, 40 is a good number, I think. Cross coming up, and it's Luna Rossa are under the pump here from Ineos. Ineos look really locked in this condition. Luna Rossa coming right over to the left-hand side. A little bit different on the water today. The left-hand side looks always, when you look up the track, to have a little bit more pressure on the left. But this one's a real dogfight. Ineos are not going away.
Both boats tacking on the lay line for the top gate. So Luna Rossa on lay line for right turn, British on lay line for left turn. So both boats just duking it out, full throttle. Italians clear across, but definitely gains back to the British team. Emirates Britannia.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli in race 8 in the Louis Vuitton Cup. After a big nosedive in race 7, are now leading. There's 3 done, 5 to go. A long way to go.
55 knot bear away there aboard the Italian team. That's over 100 kilometres an hour, 102. They are not hanging around. British team putting the training wheels down just to stabilise the boat as they exit that. But wow, what a mark grounding by the Italians. That was absolutely full throttle and just hang on.
For the ghost boat, predicting Luna Rossa still ahead at the next cross.
How nervous or how happy must Luna Rossa fans be feeling right now? At this point, they're on track to getting us back to square again. Ineos Britannia, wow. They must be just a little nervous, thinking they had an advantage, but they are honking down this lead here, Ineos.
Slow jibe by the Italian team, so expect to see some gains. Just a little touchdown, very, very floaty, watching the skid in that big pressure. And gains back again to the British, still maintaining the lead. The Italian team, but right on the edge of control.
Do you think it's with the Italians, the way we've seen an attack and a drive like that, it's just a little gently to protect her?
Top 47, I think, is a good number.
I think both teams really right on the edge of what they're doing with these boats, just on the edge of grip, and very, very difficult conditions to keep pushing the boats hard, which they have to do. Both teams absolutely holding it flat out and having to execute their boat handling perfectly.
Good mark, guys.
That was a good sign, Shirley. Keko, good one, guys. He's comfortable now.
You're very composed on board Luna Rossa Prada
Pretty much
Pirelli.
hitting the ley line is good. Up.
It is their trademark in this America's Cup, composure.
5 seconds, boys.
As this breeze has got up, the sea state's got up. And it was flat earlier on, but it certainly isn't now. We're coming down behind both boats, and we're having to throttle off and chase zero. So the boats will have had to have adjusted to the bigger sea state. The separation between the swells is quite close, probably only about 5 seconds.
I think every time the boats jibe in these conditions, I think as Peter was mentioning, the sea state, little gains back to the British every jibe. So the Italians having to push hard, otherwise the British will be staring them in the eyeballs.
Still leading at the halfway mark in race 8 of the Louis Vuitton Cup. It's Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli around on a big skid, and in comes Ineos Britannia, chasing, hunting down Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Only 7 seconds.
Yeah, and a big skid there on board the Italian boat, so they washed off a lot of speed and a lot of distance. Gains back to the British. They did a better rounding. Next intersection is going to be very, very interesting. British digging their way back into this well.
On board what might be a very nervous Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli chase boat, Philippe Presti. The lads are doing a magnificent job at this point. You can feel the pressure on the boat in those tacks and jibes.
Yeah, it's pretty close still, but I'm super happy with the, you know, the recovery. What all the show guys put on to make us racing. It's just amazing. So super pleased to be racing, and the boys on the water did a great start, and halfway so good, but any mistake could end up with a loss, a bad accident, or just a loss of a meter that we need to win the thing.
Felipe, an incredible composure on board Luna Rossa after all that drama. What did you say to the sailors before this race?
Well, I think everyone knew what to do, and the sailors get focused on the racing very quick. I mean, all our shore team just took over the repair, the damage. Horacio was and Miki Canoni were coordinating all the work, and the sailor could just look at the next race like a normal race, and that's pretty nice to see.
Okay, thanks for your time, Philippe.
Welcome.
Saw the Italian team just landing a tack on the British team previously. The British immediately tacking away to clear their air. Italians now taking a loss after having to do that tack, but British also having to do a tack off that boundary, so they will lose a couple of boat lengths in that tack. Italians just hanging on by their fingernails on the edge of the building.
He's reaching boundary.
To a very small lead.
Let's see when we meet, but probably gonna hit him. Yep. Come on.
They know faster. Good mode actually.
Good gains to us,
the wind today's been quite dynamic. It's been moving round, and we've been waiting for the wind to flick back to the right, and it really hasn't been doing that. But just up this windward beat this time, Luna Rossa have got over to that right-hand side. They were pretty close at the bottom mark, but you can see they've extended out now to, 137 metres. The right is starting to pay, and Luna Rossa are protecting that.
Yeah, we just saw Luna Rossa defend the right-hand side hard, forcing Ineos Britannia to tack away. Every metre is hard fought here.
He's showing 5 seconds. Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
Boat's final tack into this top gate. Italians setting up potentially for a left turn. British setting up for a right turn. However, the Italians could tack and take that right turn off the British should they decide to do so. This is where the comms will be interesting.
You've got to love how Ineos Britannia are just staying right on the tail of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They know one little error and they will jump all over it.
3, 2, 1, all clear. Coming down.
Luna Rossa continue to lead. 5 done, 3 to go. Race 8, Louis Vuitton Cup final. Ineos Britannia leading 4-3.
Nice.
Mega bear away there by the Italians. Fastest one we've seen. Can the British hang on to their boat as well?
Let's have a quick look at the ghost boat. Still has the Italians ahead, but look, a lot more pressure on that left-hand side of the screen.
Taking some main now.
3 legs to go and there's still nothing in it. Which way is it? Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli or Ineos Britannia? Hang on, have another drink.
Huge pressure in front of the British team there, so they're sailing along at 49 knots of boat speed. Saw 50 there, and they are almost sailing down the boundary in that big pressure that they're sailing into. So the Italians having to sail back through a lighter patch through the middle of the course and still maintaining their lead. Possibly a nice angle there, just driving away in that right-hand phase. So still only one mistake away from a lead change.
Ineos Britannia in 23, 24. Lots of pressure. It's up there.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward gate, shifting the course axis to 217.
Interesting, that one. There was more pressure looking down the course on the left, but the wind shift actually was on the right-hand side. And although Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli were in less breeze, their angle was better, and that's why that lead for Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli is extended. It's just the phasing. Luna Rossa went round that top mark, and they elected to go on the right side, and that was a key moment, what mark they picked for this downwind leg.
Yeah, we've got about 12, I reckon.
Rossa Prada Pirelli on leg 6. Sizable lead now on this downward leg. Potentially the largest we may have seen in this race to this point.
Yeah, Peter was spot on. The Italians' VMG so much better. The actual course to the marks to where they're going.
Really big puffer breeze here for the Italian team. They're sailing into the back of a monster, and they'll need to get this windward board back down again and actually make sure they don't lose the grip around this turn. So big moment here for the foil trimmers.
The Italians continue to lead in race 8. Both boards down, gently, gently. And away they go.
Nice rounding. And British team.
They're pushing hard.
See the leeway there, just as that windward board comes up, that big shunt of side force going through that leeward foil. The Italian team just doing enough to control this race.
Let's go on board Ineos Britannia's chase boat. Rob Wilson, can you believe what the America's Cup has thrown up today? You're having to hunt right now.
Yeah, it's another great day of racing. We're just holding in for this right-hand shift just to close it up a little bit more. It's tight, super tight.
Yeah, Rob, it looks pretty windy from in here. How top end is it?
Yeah, it's right up there. Like we're seeing 23 knots at times, you know, even just over that. So it's, you know, we passed the wind limit prior to the start, but it's well over that now.
Gotta love this racing though, right, Rob?
Yeah, it's super tight, super tight. Let's hope we can close it down.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Amazing shots there of both boats, just absolutely belting upwind. See how fast those foils are going through the sea top of these waves, not even flinching. Those big foil arms acting like big suspension levers, and the sea stake still relatively flat for these big boats, although it's getting up and getting choppy on any other boat. You'll be rattling your teeth out, but these boats absolutely locked in.
The ride's so smooth now. You think back a couple of weeks, it did not look like this.
Both boats extremely locked in on their fore-aft and roll control. Super, super important for getting the maximum performance out of the yacht. And your roll and pitch absolutely locked in.
2, 1, lead. Turning. Farewell. 2, light down board.
Lovely tack, Ineos Britannia. Dylan Fletcher, Olympic gold medalist from Tokyo.
But you think we can live? But it's quite right. I think we take it. 1 forward down.
It's his first America's Cup.
1 mate.
Not even flinching.
1 going forward.
Doing a lovely job, Dylan, as are the whole team. Yacht Britannia. That slide, that massive slide out of bounds at the pre-start, an unforced error, and they have been on the back foot ever since then. Francesco Bruni and James Spithill was on board, just locking the race down and just keeping it smooth and executing as they'd expect to do.
3, 2, 1, more down.
Big power in this tack as they go through, using a bit of accumulator. You'll see that 400 to 500 watts. Interesting in these windier conditions, not having to do as much trimming as you absolutely ripping once you get set up. So once everything's sheeted on, a little bit less work to do for the cyclists.
And the top gate for the final time. And would you believe it? Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli lead Ineos Britannia. Are we about to see another mini miracle? Another mini miracle from the Italians.
I'm good. I'm good.
55 knots again. Backing off the Italians. British now need to execute well.
3, 2, 1 all the way.
Ineos Britannia. One more downwind leg to go. Look at those barrelways.
Okay, mate.
They are just ripping it today.
On board.
This is absolutely right at the very top end envelope for the AC75s, and both teams doing a fantastic job getting the boats around the track, but pushing well and truly into the cavitation limit of what these rudders, elevators and foils and upstands will take. So you see the jibes there. It's a real delicate balance to keep the boats balanced. Watch the cavitation on top of the foils, those puffs of white through the water surface as the flaps go down. That's the onset of cavitation. So the team's working hard to minimise that from a design perspective, but they are absolutely pushing the boats to the top limit. So foils operating almost outside their operational design envelope.
Always good path. What's the plan here?
That top mark rounding 2 times now, we've seen Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli take the right-hand mark, and at the top of the course, I think there's better angle in terms of wind direction and a little bit more pressure. When you come off and then get down on port jibe, as they're on now, Luna Rossa have extended, and they're really in the safety zone now, out to, you know, the best part of 25 lengths ahead. But Ineos have really kept the hammer down on them the whole race. And I think Dylan Fletcher and Ben Ainsley have made a pretty good recovery from that spin out in the start.
Boys, we're about...
Only one more jibe by both boats needed to get down to the finish line here, and that foredeck has managed to stay stuck on the front of the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli boat. So well done to all those involved. They're going downwind now, so 5 times less aero drag over the hull and package, so they should be safe from here, and they've done a nice jibe. So
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli just jibing in 24 knots, making it look easy.
Another piece of America's Cup history is created from near disaster. For the 3rd time, Luna Rossa has come back, and the Louis Vuitton Cup final remains deadlocked. It's 4-all. Luna Rossa win.
Got the main for this one.
Complimenti to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Fantastic recovery. And we're back to even Stevens. Stephen.
Oh, man. I'm buzzing. Everybody's buzzing. It has been a crazy day. We got one leg in from Luna Rossa. They forced, basically, by not allowing anybody to get in for Ineos Britannia to sell the most of the race. Then they said, OK, we've got to fix this boat. What a fix.
Yeah, I mean, what must this victory feel like, not just for this four, but for all those guys who did that repair in, what, 25 minutes? Well done to them. What a result.
This is a gold standard series in the Louis Vuitton Cup final here in Barcelona. 16 seconds. Luna Rossa get the win. We have 4 all. They want to use all 13 races available. I don't need to say it again, do I? But I'll say it. 4 green dots on both sides. We're all locked up. We cannot break it right now in the 2024 Louis Vuitton Cup final in Barcelona.
Well, this was the moment at the start that really cost Ineos that slide in that tack.
Just a huge drift there, and basically just sliding that AC 75 well and truly out of bounds. So a massive ventilation on both foils in that pre-start, and that really put them on the back foot, surely. The Italians just having to get off the line, and the British having to be 75 metres behind when they cross the start line.
Yeah, from there, Luna Rossa, Pirelli, they didn't defend hard, did they? They sailed their own race, sailed the pressure and the shifts up this leg.
I think they did a really nice job of just sticking to their pre-race strategy and knowing that they couldn't really affect massively with their dirty air in these massively uprange conditions, and they just sailed a tactically really nice race, but get themselves in touch.
But it was so close, wasn't it? Even by gate 4, and a little slip up by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli tightened the whole game up. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli did well. They extended. They won the race when they needed it most. Good work.
Go up by right turn, hit the sunlight down a bit.
On board Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Let's start with Jimmy Spittle. Jimmy, your team, your whole team, have got nerves of steel. That's got to be one of the best comebacks we've seen in a long time from near disaster.
Yeah, I mean, these curveballs that keep coming our way, they're, I mean, that's when you see a champion team. And once again, all the short team, the structural engineers jumped on board and were able to effect a repair to get us to get out there, and then boys just sailed an absolutely flawless race. So yeah, great job bouncing back in that second one.
Massive congratulations, Jimmy, also to the wider team. But you know, how hard was it to focus in on the race and stay ahead of Ineos?
Not too hard. We've been sort of making a habit of this, so we've certainly had a couple of goes at it now. But again, it's good to know that the team can take that pressure when it comes on. I mean, that's a powerful thing as a team. So yeah, again, well done to the whole team. But yeah, we're going to really try and learn what we can from today, and look forward to the next one.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. Jump across to Kiko. Kiko, must feel good knowing what you have been through to just get another one back. Beautifully controlled.
Yeah, super happy. I'm gonna go through a tack, and I will be back with you. Stand by tack, boys. 2, 1, tacking here. Yeah, super proud with the team. Super proud.
Oh, thank you, Kiko. Yeah, well deserved by the whole team. Let's go on board Ineos Britannia and have a quick chat to the team there. Ben, what happened at the start?
Yeah, we just got out of position, which in these conditions really hard, because you can't just throw the boat around like you want to, or you can do in lighter airs. So yeah, it was our mistake, and they did a great job to defend. It was a close race.
Oh, Ben, this is getting crazy, isn't it? 4 all. What's going to happen next?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I just got to keep pushing hard, and two good teams going at it, really hammer and tongs. And yeah, I think slightly different conditions. Maybe tomorrow we'll see what the forecast brings us. But yeah, just got to keep going.
Okay, Ben, we'll jump across to Dylan. Dylan, first America's Cup. Could you believe it would throw this much at you?
It's certainly quite intense, but we're pushing on and just looking forward to the racing tomorrow.
Dylan, when I spoke to you yesterday, you said every race was like an Olympic medal race. What's it feeling like now?
Yeah, it's quite a breezy one, that last one. So yeah, just quite happy that we pushed hard, and really disappointed with the start at the end of the day.
Okay, thanks for your time. We'll see you tomorrow. So this is the key moment.
Yeah, let's have a look. I mean, it was far from a typical match race. So much going on, and that first leg was the only time the boats were actually locked together. Normally, the lead boat would lock in and cover their rival, but once they split at gate one, they stayed out of phase the whole way round the course. Either Italy didn't want to cover, or the British wouldn't let them. Whatever the reason, Italy gave the British every chance to find better wind, and Luna Rossa kept their lead and earned that amazing victory.
Just having a little bit of a look at the data here. Better speeds for GBR, nearly half a knot faster top speed, and better for average and best upwind and downwind pace. Amazingly though, better VMG too, but clearly the Italians sailed a great race and basically a kilometre of distance saved. That win will absolutely mean heaps to them, and hats off again to Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli for a great comeback. Regatta starts again tomorrow.
What a day we have been treated to. It has been a roller coaster of a day for Italian fans and their own team itself in Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli. We started with race 8 and bang, this happened. And we're going, no, not again. A third issue, shall we say, in this whole regatta for Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli. And they got it together and just shrugged it off.
Yeah, they're getting used to dealing with curveballs. A great team behind them. Rallied into action, saved the day.
It's all about, we say in certain parts, but it's all about the village that gets you going, the village that gets you back on the water. They had their chats and then they got back under the seat and said, okay, let's have a go at you, Ineos, and forced a little bit of pressure. Benazzi said, you've got to be careful on these winds, and they made the mistake at the start box, and it cost them dearly.
They did a really, really big slide and sliding out of bounds and basically copping a penalty. So they really opened the door up for Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli. But for us sitting here watching, and I think for all the viewers, it's really, really nice to see a fantastic race, and the Italians, after having a bit of adversity, managed to pull it all together. A fantastic team effort. And we go into tomorrow back to even points again.
When you talk about the best sport you can watch and be on the edge of your seat for 20, 30 minutes at a time, we have delivered that day after day in this Louis Vuitton Cup final. So yeah, oh, look at that, the power, and why not? Let's just remind you where we are at with the Louis Vuitton Cup final. Quite simply, in the first to 7 races, both teams are 3 away, but they can't break the deadlock. Which team will be the first maybe to win 2 in a day? Oh, your guess is as good as ours. Tomorrow, that's right, we're back at it again. Races 9 and 10 of the available 13. Race 9, it'll be Italy on port entry, Ineos on starboard, and then they'll flip over for race number 10. There'll be a lot of work probably done overnight on Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli to make sure the silver bullet is nice and shiny and just as fast again. But she didn't seem to be too bad, with a bit of bruising and a bit of sticky tape on her as well. What a day we have been treated to. Day 5 will probably go down as one of those moments in the history of the Louis Vuitton Cup that you'll think about, go, did you see what happened that day? Well, we saw plenty. And once again, Luna Rossa Parada Pirelli came from behind and did the job. It's 4-all heading into day 6. You can't get any better than the Louis Vuitton Cup final, live from Barcelona.